Hi, I'm Amy Bateman and I'm really excited about making this video. It's a topic that is extremely close to my heart. In fact, this is the topic that motivated me to make these videos for founders and people on a startup journey. So this is 5 ways to stay motivated as a founder while you are going through that crazy startup scale-up journey. So I started my company in 2010. I founded a company called Career Cake, and then in 2015 I raised my first angel investment, then went on to VC investments and started it, validated it and scaled it. And it was absolutely the best thing I've ever done. It's brought me the most joy in my life to date. I'm sure as entrepreneurs and founders you'll get that. You'll also get this, in that it's the thing that has, without a doubt, caused me the most pain in my life. It's made me question myself, my value, my purpose, and I felt fear like never before. So yeah, I think it's really important that I made this video about ways that I use to stay motivated, because people tell you that it's going to be really hard. So when you're starting up, people that have started companies, whether they've exited successfully or not, they'll tell you it's super hard. And we don't really believe them. And I think it's quite good in a way that we don't believe them, because sometimes I think if we knew how hard it was, we wouldn't even start. Although I think we probably would, because, we're built like that. But I think unless you go through it yourself, you don't ever know how hard it's going to be. So these are just some ways that will help you power through and enjoy the journey. So firstly, and because prevention is better than a cure, my advice is to take your annual leave. Now, I got burnout really bad in 2017. So a few years earlier, I'd closed my first investment round, which was obviously awesome, and I was super excited. And I knew that in the startup world, faster is better. You have to validate your idea, don't you? You have to get market fit. You have to go out there and get profitable, win customers and get profitable before the cash runs out. Now, all those things are absolutely true, but you're not a robot. And I think in a way I'd forgotten that, because that year I took 4 days annual leave. 4 days. It's absolutely ridiculous. If that was my best friend, I'd tell her off, but I thought it was okay for me to do that. And the year after wasn't much better, but basically everything that I wanted to happen was happening. But I'd forgotten how to smile. I'd completely forgotten how to feel joy. I'm going to do another video about burnout and the science behind it, and actually how to recognize it and how to overcome it, because it's something that really impacted me halfway through my startup journey, and I want to talk about it more. But for now, for this video, I'm just going to say this. Please take time off. You can still live and breathe it. Yeah, you can still be totally obsessed with it. I totally get it. Taking your annual leave isn't like a wimp thing to do. It doesn't mean that you're less committed. For me, I didn't want to take annual leave because I didn't want my investors or my colleagues to think that I wasn't dedicated to this thing. But actually taking your annual leave is the smartest thing you can do. It's super smart. You have to rest. You have to rest in here and you have to rest in here in order to be kick-ass out there. So the next thing that I would recommend you do is to surround yourself with lighters. So these are the people that absolutely light up our lives. These are the people that don't just have a good day, they make a good day. And when we're having a bad day, we can call them and they can make us feel like we can take over the world. Yeah, they make us feel super good about ourselves. Now this could be your best friend, it could be another founder that you've met recently. You've met them and you really clicked because they know what you're going through. And if you find people like that, by the way, keep them, cherish them, keep them close. Because we are absolutely the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. It's so true. It's so true. No matter how big your personality, no matter how confident you are, you become a product of your environment. But I also want to talk to you about the feeders. And you'll know people like this because they're the people that take from us. And then when we leave their company, we feel really flat. Now, this is different from supporting people who we care about, by the way, who are just going through a difficult time, people that we love, people that we just need to help during a certain time. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the people that are only happy when they're miserable. They don't support your dreams. They don't listen to you. They don't ever ask you what's going on with you. It's always all about them. Now, it's worth knowing that you will absolutely lose some friends during your startup journey, because we all do. Every founder I know does. You outgrow certain people, and that's okay. Some people will just stop inviting you to things because you always say no. You're not as available as you used to be. That's okay. Not everybody is meant to be with us forever. You know, some friendships naturally drift away, some come back, some never do, and that's okay. Don't let the good friendships go though. I did that. I worked hard to get them back, but the people that matter, work hard to keep those relationships. But the people that are toxic and the people that don't support you, because I had a couple of girlfriends like that, this journey is hard enough. You know, just make peace with that toxicity, send them on their way, and you just crack on. So another thing that I did, which I would definitely recommend that you do, is to subscribe to motivational blogs or resources. And they don't even need to be obviously motivational. There doesn't need to be a motivational purpose that's obvious. It could just be content around something that you absolutely love, that makes you happy, that makes your heart sing. So if you are really passionate about gardening, it could be content around that. If you're really passionate about birds, so bird watching and nature and animals, you might want to subscribe to the RSPB newsletter, or make sure that you watch them BBC Spring Watch or Autumn Watch content. Or if, like me, you just love learning about business and people and psychology, and if you like that, then you might want to subscribe to TED Talks. That's what I did. So you can go on, and I remember subscribing, ticking the boxes of the things that I was interested in, and then every morning I would get a TED Talk email to me. Some of them are okay, but some of them are really, really good. In fact, I do it now, even on an afternoon where I'm feeling a bit flat. I'll just quickly go onto YouTube and watch some TED Talks, or watch a TED Talk. Now, for me, that was like a big, mental buzz to start the day. It was kind of like going to the gym, but for my mind. So give that a go. What makes you happy, and surround yourself with content to do with that. Now, another awesome way for you to stay motivated is to upskill yourself. Now, that might sound expensive, but it doesn't need to be. If you don't have the money, don't worry. My first pre-seed round and my first installment was 50k, which might sound like a lot of money, but when you've got to build an MVP, pay rent, hire staff, win customers on that money, and you don't know when the next round of money's coming in. I remember I didn't really pay myself anything until you validate your ideas, don't you? And then you can go out and raise larger investment rounds. But for now, don't worry about that, because it doesn't need to cost you any money. If you want to be better at something, learn from somebody else who's awesome at it. We don't actually even need to know these people, do we? We can do it through podcasts. We can do it through subscribing to blogs, reading books, following them on social media, taking online courses, many of which are awesome and free. So for us to feel knowledgeable, we feel valuable. And if we feel valuable, then we feel good about ourselves. I'm going to say that again. If we feel knowledgeable, we feel valuable. And if we feel valuable, we feel good about ourselves. And as I found that your mental health, your mental state of mind is the most important part of this journey. Yes, your website's important. Yes, whether you win that customer is important. But your mindset, your abilities is where it all starts. You're driving everything forward. So invest in yourself for sure. So this next one is a particular favourite of mine, and I'm just going to call it give, give, give. Because to be honest, I don't know what else to call it. But what I mean by that is to just give value to anyone around you that needs it. And the reason I say that is because the easiest and quickest way for us, for you to feel valued, is to give value. So I want you to just go back and think about a time when you didn't have an issue staying motivated, right? An easier time, if you like. Wherever you were, whatever you were doing, maybe you had a job that you were really good at, or you were working in a business, wherever you were getting validated quite a lot. From people around you every day, every week, but you were getting validation, positive validation. Well done, that was good. You were seeing results, seeing positive results from the actions that you were doing. Now, as a founder, that doesn't happen. It's one of the things that disappears, that validation from people. Yeah? Now, you have a team around you, and hopefully you're validating them and you're making them feel like they're having a good day. Well done for that. That was a really good report. Well done for, getting that article in the paper, whatever it is. And that's fine. But who's validating you? And that's okay, by the way, because it's your job to validate them. It's not their job to tell you how good you are and how good you did today. It's not, you get paid for that, okay? They don't. And yes, there's teamwork and all that, I get that. But It's your job as a founder to provide an environment for your team to thrive every day. It's not their responsibility to check in and make sure that every day you're getting told well done. So that's okay, by the way, that's totally fine. But what it does mean is that you have to recognize that. You have to be totally aware of that. And our self-awareness is our greatest tool in life and business. Be aware of that. So what you're going to need to do is put yourself into situations where that's being counteracted, yeah? So you are getting the validation from people. So you're not getting it from your team. You're probably not getting it from customers straight away because you haven't got any customers. Your investors are probably pushing on you to do more, be quicker. Again, that's okay. So where can you go for your validation? And that's what I'm talking about now. Where can you give value? For me, I'm obsessed with animals. If anybody follows me on social media or Instagram, you'll know about my rescue dog Sophie and Oscar, who are beautiful. But I volunteer there. I'm a trustee of a charity and I do a lot of work there. And that makes me feel like I'm important, that I matter. And it's good for my self-esteem. What can you do? Where can you, and if you don't want to do something like that, that's okay. Maybe you can mentor someone. So when I was exiting Career Cake, I had sort of a 6-month period where obviously I was happy. Everything was going exactly the way I wanted it to go. This is what I'd worked for. But my gosh, was it hard. You know, I had investors that had all started and exited and they were holding my hand, but I was having conversations with people about stuff I'd never spoke about. I was learning about stuff really fast. I was massively out of my comfort zone. It was really scary and I was questioning my value a lot. And I decided during that time to take on 3 mentees, all of which are founders of startups, maybe a few years behind where I was, and they were just starting out. And every time I had a met, obviously it wasn't just because they were awesome and they were like-minded and they were saying stuff that excited me, but every time I met with them or spoke to them, I felt incredible. They were there saying, you know, thank you for that. But I knew that what I was saying to them was really adding value and making a difference. And again, it made me feel good about myself. That was my validation. And then I suppose my cup was topped up and then I could go into my team and validate them. I didn't need them to give me anything. I could be completely there for them because I was getting it somewhere else. And when they were saying thank you for mentoring me, I was like, are you kidding? Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to feel good about myself and important and knowledgeable today because, you know, it's tough out there. So who can you help? Because you know loads of stuff. You know loads. There'll be loads of people out there that will want to be exactly where you are now. And even if you've only just started your company, you know, there'll be somebody out there that hasn't even quit their job yet. So maybe you could guide them. So ask yourself, who can you help? Now there's lots of examples there in that video, but they all come back to the same thing, which is you creating experiences, moments and conversations where you feel seen, you feel heard and you feel valued. Now hopefully you feel all of those things in your business too, because you're building something beautiful, you're building something impactful, you know, you're solving a problem out there in the world that needs solving. But doing that, you know, building that business, that requires you to work in an environment that can be a bit crazy and a bit like a boiler pot at times. And even the most capable founders, successful founders, need those strategies to help them get through the journey. I'm going to read you some lines now from Ben Horowitz. So Ben Horowitz is an investor, quite a famous investor. He wrote the book, The Hard Thing About Hard Things. He once liked something on my Instagram, so clearly now I think we're best friends. But it's without a doubt the words that changed everything for me. Like literally never before have words made more of an impact on me. In fact, this photograph of these words was my screensaver. And every time I speak at a startup conference, I always end with this. Now, if you are a founder, CEO, and you feel awkward or incompetent when doing some of the things, and you believe that there is no way that you will be able to do it when your company is 100 or 1,000 people, welcome to the club. That's exactly how I felt. So did every CEO I have ever met. This is the process, and this is how you get made. Now that is really, really powerful, and I really wanted to share that with you. Make it your screensaver. So from one founder to another, remember that these struggles, they're part of the journey. They are absolutely 100% part of the gig, and you are not alone. You're not alone. We all go through it. Everyone before you has also gone through it. So I want you to keep smiling, I want you to have fun, and I want you to take care.